I would love to bring on our panel members now at this time, Gwenyth and Sarah from Second Wind Dreams, and let's kick off this discussion. First off, thank you for joining us. I've been a fan of your organization for many years, which I'll get into here in a moment. But I understand both of you are located in Georgia, correct?
We are, yes, Roswell, Georgia.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, before we dive into what Second Wind Dreams does, let's get to know the two of you a little bit better. Gwenyth, you're the CEO of Second Wind Dreams. Tell us a little bit about your career path and what led you to your current position.
It has been an interesting path, to say the least. I have a bachelor's degree in performance theater, and then became a registered dietitian. I guess the starving actress led me to that. And thankfully so, because I spent my entire dietetics career working in the field of aging, and moved through Meals on Wheels, long-term care, and then working with the state unit on aging, which really kind of solidified everything for me. Helping to implement statewide programs, and I just love the field of aging. So it was an easy fit.
Oh, I love it. Great. And then Sarah, you're the Chief Programs Officer there at Second Wind Dreams. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career path leading up to Second Wind.
Of course. Kind of like Gwenyth, I have my bachelor's in a completely different field. I have a bachelor's of journalism. And it was during kind of that escapade that I realized that I really like working in gerontology. So I actually have my master's degree in gerontology. And from there, had an opportunity to work with an area agency on aging and really get that hands-on experience of working with different programs, both state, local, and federal. From there, have worked with several state units on aging, around program management, around Older Americans Act, around a couple Medicaid programs and Medicaid waivers programs. Had that opportunity to get a vast knowledge to bring into Second Wind Dreams.
Great. Now, where did you get your master's in gerontology? Where did you go for that?
Is from the University of South Florida in Tampa.
Oh, great. Yeah, we often on these discussions, we feature some of the aging studies programs across the country. And so we haven't spotlighted them, but maybe I'll use you as a way to go through the alumni to spotlight.
Of course, fantastic. It was at the time that I was there, it was one of the top gerontology programs. It's located in Florida, so there was a wealth of a population to work with, but highly recommended them.
Great, great. All right. Well, like I said, I've been a fan of your organization because I had I've done it a couple of times, taken the Virtual Dementia Tour, and that's all I've known Second Wind Dreams is doing. But then how this conversation came about was I received a press release talking about a partnership that you have in the UK or something like that. And I really thought it would be a great opportunity to have you all on to just tell us, what does Second Wind Dreams do, and how can we as consumers and senior living providers work with you to utilize your resources. So feel free to just jump in and tell the story any way you like.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start kind of with a higher view, and Sarah can talk about the programs. I think is a good way to go. In 1997, our founder, P.K. Bevel, was asked by two young ladies of 92, twins, for an Elvis happy hour. As a geriatric psychologist, she was in the nursing home already and said, well, why not? And so that was how the first dream happened here at Second Wind Dreams. And tens of thousands of dreams have been met since then or fulfilled. Our mission is to change the perception of aging, and we do that through fulfillment of dreams. And that helps the individual who has the dream. It helps the individuals who live around them. but it also helps the staff. And we've seen a decrease in attrition rate for staff in nursing homes and assisted livings that participate in this program. And that's a marvelous thing.
So a little bit like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, is that
It is
a proper comparison?
So the Make-A-Wish Foundation is focused on youth. We're focused on the older adult, and we're focused on an emphasis on living, reminding not only the individual with the dream, but the community around them that they are an adult who has dreams and needs, and we are investing in their life.
Wow, that's great. Well, I had no idea. Like I said, my knowledge base is Virtual Dementia Tour, so this is really exciting. I hope I'm not derailing your talk because I've got these questions here. But so how does if I've got a loved one or if I'm in a community, how can I, participate in this dream program?
Absolutely. So right now we are based in nursing homes, assisted livings, and with some home care organizations. The organization has a membership with us, and then we work with them to dream weave. So we teach them how to go out and talk with the individual. You don't just say, "What are your dreams?" Because, even if somebody came to me today and said that, I might not adequately represent what I would really like to do. So we have a list of questions. We work with them to find out about the individual. People love to talk about themselves and tell their own story. So that's why we call it dream weaving. So we dream weave with the organization, or we bring in volunteers. We have an organization, a Jack and Jill organization here in the Atlanta area that's working with a nursing home specifically. They do the dream weaving. They do the fundraising to grant these dreams for this nursing home. So we're connecting youth and older adults, and it's a really nice mix.
Man, I love it. And yeah, so again, I don't want to put you on the spot, but so how many years have you been, I forgot, when did that start with the Elvis?
So that was more than 25 years ago. Our organization will celebrate its 25th anniversary in 2022.
And I'm sure you've calculated how many dreams you've fulfilled.
It's more than 10,000 at this point. Wow. And those are the ones that get reported to us. So we have relationships with elder care communities that are members, but may not report everything they're doing.
Okay.
They're busy organizations,
yeah,
and sometimes getting back to us is difficult. But we continue to do that. And it's everything from, as we like to say, the simple to the sublime. During COVID, we've done things like paint by numbers. We had a gentleman donate 12,000 paint by number kits to us, which wow. we got out to elder care communities around the country. And in a time with social isolation, coming up with activities for individuals in nursing homes was difficult. What are things they can do on their own that are still fulfilling? So we did a lot of those kind of dreams this year.
I love it. And definitely COVID is a time that forced us all to think outside the box to, do different things. Now, are there any sort of, when you're at a cocktail party and you're talking about your job, like what are some of the dreams that you always like to talk about that really sort of talks about the unique aspect of this program?
There's so many to talk about, but there's one gentleman here in the metro area that had played jazz, and he was really interested in getting the opportunity to do it again. Of course, he was nervous, but he was actually able to play at a local jazz club here in the metro area. And the video, actually his video is on our website. I encourage you to see that. The joy, the engagement, the life you see in this individual. If we don't engage with each other and talk about who we are, who we were, and who we're going to be, it's just not a great mental health scenario for us. So That's one of my most joyful ones, and thankfully it's in a video. But we also had one over in the last couple of years where a lady just wanted to spend time with kittens. And, you know, that sounds like a really simple ask, but she had to have medical transport. She had to have medical supervision. And then we connected her with a shelter, and she spent the day in the kitten room.
I love it. Yeah.
And that's engagement, and very tactile engagement for her.
And you know, what it makes me realize though is that under the context of, you know, what you call dream weaving, it's a different type of conversation that you're having with somebody that can uncover a variety of aspects of their personality, whether it leads to a formal, you know, dream like playing jazz or playing with kittens, and which is probably one of the reasons why over time those partners that you have longer term are not necessarily reporting all the dreams, because they've just sort of tuned themselves to having these conversations with their clients and residents in a different manner.
That is absolutely the goal. Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Let's see. I've got Susan Ranick with her hand raised. I'm not sure if this is a mistake. It usually isn't, because Susan is a pretty savvy attendee here. Susan, did you have a question?
No.
Oh.
I have no question. That was a mistake, but kudos. I concur with everything that's said, and I'm applauding.
I love it. All right. Thank you, Susan. Okay. So that's just a reminder to everybody that you guys can, guys and gals, I got to stop saying guys, that everybody can ask questions, whether you raise your hand like Susan did by accident or just type them in. Okay. Sorry to derail you on there, but I love the founding of this organization. I love this second wind dreams. Now it all makes sense. I've been sort of like I said, Virtual Dementia Tour is all I have knowledge of. So what are some of the other programs that you all do?
Well, I'm really proud to say that everything we do really helps to create community around our older adults. That awareness of them as an individual, that awareness of the aging process, and the awareness of some of the issues that may occur with dementia. All of those things, as we educate the community, help to decrease fear and create better understanding and community. So we have the Virtual Dementia Tour, which I'll pass to Sarah to go into there. We have a number of webinars, family supportive webinars. We have a family version of the Virtual Dementia Tour. And our newest offering is called Dementia Interpreters. So I'm going to pass to Sarah for a little bit and interject as she needs me, but she won't, of course.
Fantastic, thank you. So I'll start with the Virtual Dementia Tour, since that's been mentioned a couple times. So the Virtual Dementia Tour is an in-person, I want to clarify that, it is an in-person experiential simulation training, where through years of research and one-on-one interviews and brain scans that PK Bevel did as part of her doctorate thesis, she developed the Virtual Dementia Tour. And this gives caregivers, loved ones, community members an opportunity to experience what it may be like in mid-stage dementia. So through that research, was able to develop some components that we are able to place on a tour participant to simulate the changes that a person with dementia is going through that brain death of dementia, and then put them in a scenario where they must complete tasks, and they're given some what at the time was like average care within an elder care community. So that way you get that experience of that personal experience of what it's like. So rather than me being up here telling you what it's like, and you can kind of understand that concept, you feel those emotions, you feel that fear, that isolation, that anger, that frustration, you physically feel that. And then we take you out of this situation, and then we talk about it. We have a debrief that goes along with it. That's kind of the linchpin in the Virtual Dementia Tour, so that we can connect what you went through with those emotions you feel, and then how to keep those emotions from happening when you're providing care and interacting with someone living with dementia. So that's kind of in a quick nutshell what the Virtual Dementia Tour is.
Well, and I will tell you, for the folks out there, that I did the virtual dementia tour a couple of times, but many years ago. And it was one of the best things that I ever did in terms of allowing me to have empathy for people, not just dementia, but any disability, okay? Because, I mean, what you do in the virtual dementia tours, you experience a multitude of distractions and disabilities, for lack of a better term. But it, you know, what it makes you understand is how when somebody is behaving oddly, there might be something there. That you know, there might be something there, and it could be something as slight as just pain in your foot that causes you to mumble or not, you know, be coherent, or you're walking around in a funny way. And I recommend it for everyone, but especially for those that are in a caregiver role or in a family role. And I love how you put the program together, because, yeah, I mean, that I think that the talk that you have with the other participants before and after the event is almost as valuable as going through the experience with the dementia tour. I think it's very well put together. And in our audience, Pamela Mills from the Option Group is one of the licensees of your program. And so if you're in, you know, the Mid-Atlantic, you know, DC, Maryland, Virginia, or region, they can facilitate the virtual dementia tour for you. And Sarah, that's how you work. You work with partners who implement the program, correct?
Correct. Yes, we work with, for Second Wind Dreams, it's a membership where you can purchase a membership, a license for the virtual dementia tour, and you're trained on, depending on the level you come in at, you're trained on how to provide the virtual dementia tour for your organization. So we train you as what we call facilitators, and you learn how to put on this tour for your organization or your local community at large.
Great.
Through that. And the big thing I just wanted to go back on when you mentioned with the empathy piece, that is a goal of the virtual dementia tour, is to tap into that empathy, that understanding. And one of the things you also mentioned is where around behaviors, where you may notice that someone is doing something that you may think is odd, but the moment you are in that situation, you repeat that same behavior during the virtual dementia tour. And that's one of the key points, is that you start having some of those same emotions, reactions, behaviors that a person with dementia may have. And it's not odd. It's just the reaction they are having. And you get to have that, and you can make that connection. Oh, Mrs. Jones is doing this. This may be why, now that I've gone through this experience of making those connections. And that's where the debrief is really important, is we can make those connections. Yeah. And one of the other things we do is we have a post test that's done after the tour. And one of the questions on there is to get people thinking as, what will you do differently moving forward? So you can really start to think of the specific scenarios, or even like little things that you may have not thought of before, but now you've had this, so you can make that hard and fast change.
Yeah. Pamela Mills comments, when words are lost, behavior becomes communication. Mm-hmm. And those who have gone through this will see, you know, when you're frustrated, when you're lost, you may, you know, start moving your arms in a weird direction. And if you saw a video of yourself, you'd be like, holy cow. I tell you, it was interesting. The first time that I took this, I was spending the day in a dementia care community, which is one of the reasons that I did it. But then shortly thereafter, I went with my family to Chicago, and as we were walking through the city, obviously, you know, in many big cities, there's, you know, a homeless and mental health crisis that we're faced with. And, you know, the odd behavior of anybody with a cognitive issue, I found that I had much more deeper appreciation, as opposed to just dismissing this person as odd or what have you. I realized that could totally be me. You know, that the human brain is a complex place, and we're just lucky to be healthy. But if you have some changes, that could be you with that odd behavior, and it's not because you're it's not because you're a bad person. It's just, you know, human nature. And so gave me a lot more patience in working with people.
Yes, of course. And to go actually off of the comment you were just reading, I believe from Pamela around communication, that's where Dementia Interpreters comes in. So Dementia Interpreters, yeah, it was a perfect segue.
It was.
Could not ask for better. But Dementia Interpreters is another experiential training program. It was developed by our partners in the UK Training to Care Group, and it's developed as a training around barriers to communication. So it looks at and emphasizes and walks through some training around communication is more than just the spoken word. And what do we do as care providers, as family members? How do we interact with someone when there's a different form of communication, or there's been a change and there's a loss of that verbal communication? That tends to be the default that people go with is that verbal communication. So this training looks at those barriers to communication. How can we have successful communication with someone who may be facing a barrier? So similar to the Virtual Dementia Tour, Dementia Interpreters simulate some of those barriers to communication. And the one you mentioned about, you know, using your arms and your hands to talk. What happens when that is removed? How can we have successful communication? And what can we look at for additional communication when something else is removed? So that's what Dementia Interpreters does. And it looks at those communication barriers in the context of dementia.
So now, okay, so just for those in the audience that aren't familiar with how the Virtual Dementia Tour, you've got a bunch of, for lack of a better term, props that put people through this process. How is Dementia Interpreters, how is it similar and different? I'm curious how that is implemented.
Of course. So the Virtual Dementia Tour is, you get, we call them components, props. You get kind of like garbed, as we call it, garbed up, and then you're put into a scenario that runs a certain amount of time. So it's a lengthy, one-time, all immersive experience. With Dementia Interpreters, it's set up with more of a little bit of a conversation beforehand, and then it's a series of exercises that builds on removing additional forms of communication and senses. So you do one kind of exercise and then you stop and talk about it. And then you build off that exercise you just did and add an additional barrier to communication to really layer that on. And to, once again, being able to personally feel that fear and then isolation, that frustration that comes with experiencing those barriers.
So this is great. Now, is Dementia Interpreters, is that also done in a group setting, or is it one-on-one, or how is that?
The best way to describe it is kind of a hybrid. So what we do is you have to be in a group of minimum of 3, so you can have that interaction with others with that communication piece. But right now what we do is our Dementia Interpreter trainers will do like a Zoom call similar to this, where they Zoom in with either your group and another group and do this training. So you have to be in a group of at least 3. We do it up to about 9 currently with COVID protocols, but then our trainer is virtual.
Okay, all right. So obviously you can't do the Dementia Tour virtual, or
correct.
But we could potentially do Dementia Interpreters as a
yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a great addition to your suite of services, especially in light of us being COVID.
Very much so. And they're not dependent on each other, but they go very, very well together, as kind of this conversation has shown that the communication piece runs through both, but they can be done independently, but having them combined is beneficial.
So I love hearing the story of how these things came to fruition. Like, I love the story of the Second Wind Dreams, how that was founded. It's PK DeVille or Beville?
Bevel.
Did she, is she the founder of the Virtual Dementia Tour? How did that program come to fruition?
Yes. So for the Virtual Dementia Tour, and I actually just did an interview with PK on this. It's very fresh in my mind. I got the full story, but I'll give the abridged version, is that she, through personal experience dealing and working with and caring for an aunt who was in, at the time, what was called a mental institution, she realized, there are, what she was experiencing, that there was other things going on, that there is a way to simulate what is happening to provide that more empathic, person-centered care. And especially as she started working within, with elder care communities, primarily nursing home, she was getting requests for training. And how could she take, an in-service training, rather, that was more than just a lecture version? How do you really drive it home, that point you're trying to make? And through that, that's where she came up with the Virtual Dementia Tour. Is there is a way to simulate this. We can know that dementia involves brain death, and that can be mimicked up to a certain point. So how do we mimic it? How do we put that person in that situation? And those were PK's thoughts and what she worked through, and it was her PhD dissertation, and that's where this virtual dementia came out of. And so she was doing that for a while. She was also doing the dreams, that came first. And then she donated the Virtual Dementia Tour to Second Wind Dreams, so that the proceeds that we receive off of the Virtual Dementia Tour are put back into the Dreams program, so we can continue to fulfill those dreams and fulfill even more dreams.
And then it sounds like the Dementia Interpreters was a program that was created in the UK that you've all partnered with, and it sounds like a wonderful partnership. Is that correct?
Yes. So our partners in the UK have been partners in regards to the Virtual Dementia Tour for quite some time. They're a huge fan of that. They use it in a lot of their core trainings over in the UK. And from Glenn Knight, he's the CEO over there, from his experience around the Virtual Dementia Tour and the debrief topics that came up, he developed Dementia Interpreters. We've worked with him on that, but it was born out of the Virtual Dementia Tour.
I love it. Okay. Excellent. Well, we've got some questions, so let me jump into some of these, and then and remind everybody that you can type in your questions or raise your virtual hand. So let's see. Thank you for such a great nonprofit mission and vision and plan of care. Thank you for your vision and hard work. Love the Paint by Numbers story. Can you share when the Paint by Numbers project took place? And do you know how it is that the community person had so many paint by number kits to share with seniors?
Absolutely. So it actually happened within the past 18 months. And the gentleman reached out to us. The Paint by Numbers is part of his business. And so he partnered with us to share those, as he saw the need during social isolation during COVID. We have been so impressed during all of the tribulations that we've been through of the last 18 to 24 months at how the community steps up. You would think that people would be, worried about their health and thinking about that, but we have had over 700 individuals and group volunteers write over 20,000 cards of light to nursing home, assisted living residents, and to the staff who care for them during COVID, to let them know that we are all thinking about them. And that's an amazing thing to have people step up like that.
I love it. And let's see, Susan Ranick says, dementia is a journey, not a destination. Communicating with words is a challenge, both speaking and understanding. Important for others to learn how to be one with. Communion, not communication. Martin Huber, I think is the name she is quoting. Once again, Susan, always love having you on these discussions. You have great words of wisdom. And Deb Merrimer asks, would this tour be appropriate for children? the Virtual Dementia Tour or the Dementia Interpreters?
We have worked with the Virtual Dementia Tour with high school students. We have not worked with groups younger than that at this point. You know, that's a new question for me about Dementia Interpreters. I think we need to follow up with our partner who developed the program. There are some things that I think younger children may be stressed by, but I am not an expert in children by any means. So.
No, but yeah, like, you know, the topic of grandma's behavior, just like the topic of death and dying with children, you know, having some vehicles to communicate that are always helpful. But as somebody who's gone through Virtual Dementia Tour, yeah, you definitely need to be able to process it, because it is this artificial environment that probably none of us will go through all of it at once, you know, but so the ability to kind of understand that. I stumbled onto your website here and just clicked on a button about these nursing home grants. And it looks like in some states that there's through grants that people can receive the Virtual Dementia Tour or your services at no charge. Is that correct?
Correct. So the grants that are currently mentioned on our website are funded through CMP, through CMS. So that's the civil money penalty grants. That is when a nursing home is fined and they pay that fine. That money goes into a bucket for each state that then they reinvest into training and education and additional programs for nursing home residents. So we apply as an organization per state to receive some of that funding so we can provide the Virtual Dementia Tour to nursing homes within that state at no cost. That's the grants and reference. We also look at additional grants, whether they're foundation or state-based grants or local grants. We also work with several partners. If they find a grant they would like to apply for to receive the Virtual Dementia Tour. We love working with people. If they find a grant, we have several like colleges and universities who have found education grants that they can apply for to get the Virtual Dementia Tour embedded into like their CNA program or their RN program.
Wow, I love it. Well, this is just an amazing, I'm so glad that I understand now how much you all are doing, and I'm really excited to see if our audience can help spread the word and get more involved with your programming. I got through the questions there. I'm going to sort of, I always throw out the last call, you know, if you've got additional questions or comments, throw them in now. But while we wait to see if there are any, are there any additional items that you'd like us to know about, or anything that you guys are working on in the future that you want to give us a peek behind the curtain to?
We have a number of e-based or web-based offerings that can help during the remains of social isolation and help if you can't travel. We have some visual imagery activities that PK Bevel, our founder, has recorded for us that walk you through some different scenarios of living with dementia. And then our clinical manager does a recorded debrief there so that you can see how people are processing that information. So we've come up with ways to do at least some of what we accomplish in the Virtual Dementia Tour, even during COVID. Sarah, I know you've got a lot on your plate. What else are we missing?
That was the main one I was going to mention, was the visual imagery. We're also looking to expand that so we can do, you can go through that recorded, not meditation, but the recorded experience of what a PK leads you through and puts you in that mental mindset during a specific situation, whether it's bathing or mealtime or moving to a new location as a person with dementia. And then we're looking to expand in where we do a live debrief. So then we hop on a Zoom call or a Teams call or whatever platform you want to use and do a live debrief with you, with your staff, with families, with additional caregivers, and talk through, once again, those emotions you felt going through that guided experience, and talking about different things that you experienced, and now that you've had this, what are you going to do to change items like that. Another thing I want to mention that I'm going to turn back over to Gwen to talk about is our Caregiver Roundtables.
Oh, I leave it to me to forget something I'm doing. We are offering 4 Caregiver Roundtables this year in partnership with AARP Georgia. We're very thankful for that. And we welcome people from across the country, professional caregivers, family caregivers. Just watch our website for that. The next one is June 24th. And we will post questions to all of the registrants. It is complimentary, but we do ask you to register so that we can get the information to you directly. So we'll start out with some base questions and we'll see how the conversation evolves from there. It's been a really rewarding experience. We've done 2 this year so far, and actually we have 3 more to do. The first one was a follow-up from last year. And this time we're talking about brain health and different conversation topics there. We try to mix it up each time so we're not having the exact same conversation. But with the wealth of people that join us, that would be difficult to do.
Okay, great. And we'll definitely promote that one on our calendar. Is that under the Caregiver Resources section of your website, or where is?
I believe it's there, and I can email you the link.
Okay, great. I'll get it out there. Okay. Excellent. Well, I knew a question was going to come in. You had mentioned subscription, to be or joining Second Wind Dreams. Always comes up is how much does it cost to become involved with Second Wind Dreams?
Well, it depends on which program. So okay. I'll speak to the Dreams program. Membership for the Dreams is $100. Sometimes that is sponsored by a community organization for a nursing home or assisted living. Sometimes the organization pays for it. And we do offer some scholarship opportunities, and applications will be on our website in the near future for that.
Okay.
Sarah?
In regards to the visual imagery that I mentioned, and Gwenyth mentioned, there are some pre-recorded ones on our website that I believe are $20, and that's a little over an hour for each one. You can log in, watch part of it, and then if you need to pause and come back to it, you're more than welcome to do so on that. Then for the Virtual Dementia Tour, to become trained as a facilitator, where you receive the equipment to host and get the training to do so, you have to purchase the equipment, and then the training is an online webinar based, and that is $350 per person.
Okay, great. And then when you are trained, so let's say that I'm with a home care provider or senior living or aging life care manager practice, and I'm a trainer, am I allowed to charge people for that, or am I doing this totally free of charge? I don't remember if I paid anything. I think it was a free experience that I went through.
Yes, so if you're trained as a facilitator, you can provide the Virtual Dementia Tour to your agency multiple times at no cost. You can host a community version for the larger community at no cost as well. Okay. And then there's some other stipulations. If you take the Virtual Dementia Tour to someone else, then that gets into like kind of the nitty gritty of our terms and conditions.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, no. And then we also do have a bigger kind of train the trainer type model with our certified trainers, where you as an individual can become a certified trainer that allows you to provide the virtual dementia tour for a greater audience. You have the opportunity for us to contract with you to do at a conference or a university. It also allows you to train facilitators within your organization. So if you have like multiple locations, that's an option that we have some come on as certified trainers to do that. That is a 3-day in-person training. Right now, our next one will be held here in Georgia. But we're looking to expand where those classes are, and that is around $3,000 for the training plus the cost of the equipment.
Okay, and then the interpreters, how much is that?
I'm gonna blank. I'm on this, so it is a minimum of 3, kind of as we talked about, so you can have that interaction there, up to 9 participants. and that is, I believe, $600, and that includes the actual physical training, and then we ship you the equipment to use that then you ship back to us. Some is disposable, some we get back and we have professionally cleaned.
Okay, excellent. Well, this is fantastic. I think we got through all the questions. It's an amazing program that you got there. Make sure you send me the details on the Caregiver Roundtable and anything else. We are huge fans of what you're doing, and we'll continue to help you get the word out. And I really appreciate you chatting with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.